to order. We'll stand for the pledge. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brew?
Here.
Mr. Babalani?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here.
Approval of the agenda. Anybody have any additions to the agenda? No closed session tonight then?
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Support.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of April 17th, 2017, and a special meeting of April 27th, 2017. Is there any additions or corrections to any of the minutes? Now we need a motion to approve one or both.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes of the regular meeting of April 17th and a special meeting of April 27th.
Support.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Approval of manifest 2017-9 in the amount of $391,577.67. Mr. Pop, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I had one. Under Recreation Department, Hall's Hardware Replacement Repair Parts, number 552, there was no, what's it for? That's all it says, Hall's Hardware Replacement Repair Parts. Very bottom.
What page?
Page 207.
Number 552 looks like a piece of equipment. Looks like a number for a piece of equipment, but I'll have to double check on that.
Okay,
Any other questions?
no, I had none.
Ms. Brew, any?
Yes, I have one. On page 5 of 7, let's see, 582538681, maintenance equipment building under electrical. Fleming Fabricating, labor and repair parts 201. Do you know what that was for?
I do not. I'll have to double check on that one as well.
What is Fleming?
Company, I'm not familiar with Fleming.
Mr. Babalani, any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple, Doc. First page, Ray. About 3/4 of the way down the administration, we got the same stuff we had on here last time, copy paper and highlighter. Last month we spent, I think it was about $400 between all the departments, and we have another one here for $236. We just bought some last month, or the month after. We just okayed it at the last meeting.
Okay, I'll have to look at the invoice.
It was like $300 and some, and this one here's another $200 for the same stuff.
Does it have the invoice dates on there? I'll have to look on the invoice dates, Mark, because yeah, that does seem close, but
Okay. Down under buildings and grounds, Ray, I talked to you about Darren Anderson's charge there. That's the same company that we currently have contract with at the waste plant, right?
Yes.
They didn't do us
Not
any.
Darren, the...
No, the general contractor that
Correct.
built the building.
Yes, correct.
I'd like to,
Where's that at, Mark?
it's like the third one on the building and grounds. We got some
What page?
problems on the roof here.
What page?
And it's the first page. And we had some roof leaking problems, and that's the same contractor out of Iron Mountain that we have at the waste plant there. And they didn't do us any favors last time, so maybe they should be watched a little closer. I got some other questions here, Doc, on page 5. The WE, the WE charge, the first quarter of the We Energies, what is that, Ray? Total user charge, first quarter, $5,592. toll user charge?
That's, for We Energies, that's I believe that's the re-regulation charge, isn't it,
For the hydro?
for the hydro we're monitoring?
It's a quarterly toll, it's a toll charge?
Yeah, that's what
It's
it
for the
says.
dams on the
Yeah.
river.
Yeah.
It's part of the license that
Okay.
we're required. I think We Energies pays the total through FERC, and then we reimburse them as one of the dams on the river.
Okay,
It's all part of that Wilderness Shores agreement that we had.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't have anything to do with the dam way up north, does it, operating of that?
It's the whole system. It's all part of the Wilderness Shores agreement. And that goes all the way from Way Dam all the way down through, we're the last dam on the river we re-regulate as part of that agreement.
And then, the next one under that was the purchase power for WE, 20,048.96.
That's
And-
WPPI.
Or excuse me, WPPI. And then WPPI, right down, the next one, looks like a credit for 13,722. Does that mean we only bought $6,000 worth of power? 6,000 plus? What does that mean?
Actually, if you look back on the bottom of page, if you look back on the bottom of page 4, Mark,
Yeah,
right at under the electric utility, but down to that first section where it says surplus power sales and it's a credit of 27,000.
yeah,
These were actually repeats on this manifest. They were on the last manifest too. We Energies gave us this $13,000 was a one-time credit. It was a pass back from ATC.
overpayment?
No, just from a credit that they got from ATC, they passed on to us. So actually, the reason they showed up on this manifest is we have a huge credit sitting there right now with WPPI because we sold them. That 27,000 was power we sold them, and we only bought 20 back and then got that $13,000 credit. So we have a credit sitting there right now of about $18,000 that they're just gonna carry forward to our next bill. But because that is sitting out in the system, we didn't pay them obviously because they owe us.
so
that's
we're
why it showed
actually
up on-
making more power than we're using?
We sold, in the month of March, we sold them 27,000 and only used 20,000. And then got that 13,000.
So we
one-time
produced
credit.
more power than
Yeah.
we used
On that month, yeah.
on
On
that month?
For March.
Yeah, it's reversing now because of the amount of water we're dropping our production.
I had a question from one of the gentlemen that was on the electric utility board. Are we running to our full capacity for the flowage of water that we have at the hydro?
We are running our full capacity, but we're not producing our full capacity because the tail race is too high. And so when the tail race gets up, it's physics. We lose an ability to produce power. So we're passing water and that tail race is up. So we're actually, when they have this much water, we're actually not producing as much as we could under Premier's situation.
Okay, he was asking me, we're running both horizontal units right now,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we're running everything we can.
okay.
Yeah.
That's all I got, Doc.
Mr. Managini?
I had a couple, but they were asked and answered.
The only question I had, and it certainly isn't anything, is on page 2. I was just wondering why we need porta potties for the Easter egg hunt when we've got bathroom facilities out at home.
Bathrooms aren't open at the time. We can't get them open because of the frost in the ground. That sand that's out there, we've never been able to secure getting the pipes, get everything opened up. So we always put the porta potties out there in Easter egg.
I have no other questions.
I make a motion, we approve Manifest 2017-09 in the amount of $391,577.67.
Support.
Mr. Minigini,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Babalani,
Yes.
Dr. Hayes.
Yes. Anybody in the audience like to address the council on any agenda item tonight? We'll have a time for further comments on any topic at the end of the... Please state your name and address for the record.
905 West US 2. Okay, I see that you want to give Paul an extension on the Thirsty Well again, at 1 o'clock. Last year, it got louder and louder after 10 o'clock, the music and that. They took off and they burned donuts in there, they headed down the highway, 2 of them. Then we had a drag race out there at 12 o'clock at night. A guy with a flag, was standing right on the yellow line with a pair of Mustangs. Drag racing. At 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, something like that. I don't remember exactly what time it was. And I mean, I don't think it should be out there. It's getting out of control as far as the noise goes. The music got louder and louder, putting to sleep, you know, shower windows in the house. I'm on the deck today. And then we had a couple of, we had these butterfly solar lights. And I think that couple took them when they went down the road with the 4x4, side-by-sides. So I don't think it's a good idea that after that, because when I go to stock car races, and if it rains or that, and they have to cut the races short, we were told 11 o'clock they have to be out no matter what. I don't think that Paul should be allowed to have it past 11 o'clock like everyone else. It's like your 125, that was done at that time. Then like, okay, another thing, the walking trails. Okay, we walk once or twice a day, every day. Right now, you can't even get through there. To me, I think it's a waste to put a parking lot there. And right now, you can't get through, since spring, you can't get through the schools back there across, and there's 4 or 6 inches of water. I think if they're gonna spend that kind of money.
You mean at the mirror?
Yeah, the mirror. I think that's a waste of time. But I think they should do, if they're gonna take that money, put a sidewalk up to the church. With the kids walking that highway, that's terrible. Every Wednesday you see these little kids walking that. I think there should be a sidewalk on that side.
Well, I think I agree 100% with that, and
Yeah,
we're pushing it.
I would
The
think
DDA,
they'd all put the money in that than waste your time on something like that parking lot. Because I don't, we walk every day when we kid in summer. If we see one person a week, then we're lucky. We walk that once, twice a day.
well, the DDA is planning on putting the walking trail up to the churches, that's my understanding. Right?
Yeah, that's what they would like to do, yes.
Okay, but they got them off the highway. There's someone, one of these kids are gonna get one of these days.
I agree, that safe access to that part of town, I think is a priority in my concern.
Then there's another thing. Unlicensed plates in town. They have an inspector, right, to put all the cars that are supposed to be moved to that? With no plates to that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, I walk this all the time. There are a bunch of cars in this town with no plates on it. They're backed up to the garage. Some of them have been flat tires for years. Like I said, I've been in town almost 5 years. And I mean, there's a couple that haven't moved. There's one Volkswagen bus that's right up to the ground, rotted right out. There's one place, there's 5 Ford pickups sitting in the yard, unlicensed. I heard you give tickets, but what is it, a one-shot deal? Give a ticket one time, and they let them park it for next year? How's that done?
I don't believe so. I think that's usually addressed by the police, and we do have a person who's supposed to be responsible for that.
Yeah, but
And they would
But
appreciate,
if you give us the locations, we'll definitely go out there specifically.
Up here in the hill, there's 5.
Okay, Smith, let's get with me afterwards, I'll get the locations,
There's
okay?
a Volkswagen bus over here that's been here for 3 years, it's rotted right to head. On Iron Street, Iron Street, there's a Dodge pickup that's been backed up to the garage. It's been here for 4 years, hasn't moved. That's it. And on, there's Walnut Street, there's a car mover sitting in the side with a flower bed on top of it, a flower pot. Been sitting there for about 2 years. Like I said, I walk the town all the time.
Right, so I'll get with you afterwards and we'll get those logged in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
any other citizens like to approach the council or have a comment on any issue? Next would be communications, USDARD WWTP project pay request number 3. Mr. Anderson.
Well, we have 3 pay requests that are based on the 3 parts of our project. Pay request or project number 1 is the wastewater treatment plant. Each one of these needs to have separate approvals. So pay request number 3 for the wastewater treatment plant, project number 1, you can see that the requesting council to approve that pay request for $62,310. And then authorize rural development to release necessary funds.
Any questions from the council? Otherwise, we need a motion to approve pay request.
I'll make a motion that we approve the invoices in WWTP Project Number 1, pay request number 3 in the amount of $62,310, and authorize rural development to release the necessary funds so the city can make the payments.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Number 8 in the agenda is the sewer collection project, pay request number 3.
The amount for that pay request is $11,207.11.
Any questions from anybody? Otherwise, we need a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve the invoice, Norway City Council approve the invoice of the sewer collection project number 2, pay request number 3 in the amount of $11,207.11, and authorize the rural development to release the necessary funds so the city can make the payments.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Number 9, approval of USDA RD water distribution project, pay request number 3.
Amount of this pay request is $2,871.50.
I make the motion, the USDA RD Water Distribution Project pay request number 3 in the amount of $2,871.50.
Support.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Number 10, special events application, Thirsty Whale Anniversary Dance. Any comments or questions from the council?
Do we have any police reports on any of this?
You know, according to Jim, he didn't have any reports on it. He said he didn't, the only reports that he had was up on, from the spring. So,
Not there though, personally.
no.
And how many years has she been having this? Quite a few years?
I
right?
believe it's 36th.
Is that long, yeah?
But we've only had the extension the last 5 years, I think. 4 or 5 years.
Wasn't it just last year it went from midnight to 1, Ray? Before that, it was always midnight? Or maybe it was 2 years ago we
I think
bumped
it
it
might
up
be
to
a
1
couple of years
o'clock.
ago. Yeah, it's been a
Yeah,
couple
maybe,
years.
maybe it's 2 years.
Yeah.
Time goes by fast.
But the ordinance is actually 10 o'clock. So we've been doing this for quite a while to go to 11. And then a few years ago, it was requested to go beyond 11.
I
Well,
believe,
I guess I think it's a nice little event, but I think it is getting a little bit out of control. And it does start early in the afternoon. And we did have some complaints last year on this deal. And,
To the police department, Mark?
no, it was to the city hall here.
Do you remember that, Ray?
I don't know specific, I can't remember specifically.
You said
I'm
there
not
was,
saying it didn't, but I'm just saying.
you said there was complaints.
There were
but not in
two,
the neighborhood.
there were two in the past, 2 complaints logged to the police department, and they were both from the Norway Spring subdivision, 2 different ones.
There was some from behind the car wash there.
But he doesn't have it at the police.
Yeah, maybe he didn't have
No,
it.
it didn't get logged with the police, so if it got logged at the city hall, it didn't get logged at the police.
I guess
I'm
I
saying we
just
didn't have
think
the
that,
complaints, I'm just
you know,
saying
she's
from the
starting
police.
early, there is people over there, older people, and she's already 2 hours over with the midnight request, and I think 3 hours is a little bit much. And it's not saying that she would have to have everybody leave, it's just saying, correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, that
Just
the
the
music
band.
would be stopping.
Just the band, yeah.
And I think
That's it.
we need to show a little respect for the taxpayers and the neighborhoods to give her extension, but not until only till midnight.
It's the 39th year. I see it here in the paperwork. Did you say 36 or 39?
36th.
Yeah, it says on the paperwork 39. Not that it matters, but
I thought it was 35th last year. I thought it was a big deal last year having the 35th, but it's been a long time.
I think we just need to show some respect for the citizens in that area. They're taxpayers.
And this is just one-time yearly event, right?
I can certainly understand. Wouldn't want to be a neighbor to a celebration at 1 AM.
Well, it's been going on for over 35 years, and personally, I have never had a complaint. Nobody's ever said a word to me. And I live up in the subdivision there, and I can hear it in my backyard, but I enjoy it.
It's not as loud up there.
No, just right. You can talk to each other without yelling. It's just right.
Well, Mr. Babalani, you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we deny the extension of the time on the permit for the Thirsty Whale outing.
Do you want to stay until midnight then?
Till midnight. That's giving her 2 hours, and I believe that that's adequate.
Any other comments, or is there a second to the motion?
I support, midnight's good, long enough. I think midnight's long enough. We had the 125, and that was 11 o'clock last year. And there's not close neighbors out there. You know, I support Paula on everything that she does there, but I just think midnight's a little too late.
She's a good promoter, no
Yes,
question
absolutely.
about that.
Yes, she does a lot for the community, that's for sure.
And I believe we've
Okay.
kept Bob, but Bob's had the same thing down here at the night owl, and I think we've kept him to midnight.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
midnight's a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Babalani.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is FERC License Compliance Engineering Services. Mr. Anderson.
Yes, this is annual work that Mead and Hunt handles for the city of Norway Electric to handle FERC compliance. As part of our compliance, there's quite a bit of documentation that needs to be compiled and reported to FERC. So Mead and Hunt on an annual basis handles this for us. The estimate for this year is $29,000. I did put a chart in your packet which shows the annual up through 2034, the annual type of reports and studies that we have to do for our license. So,
Has the price on that been staying pretty much the same, Ray, through the
no,
years?
it goes up and down. We've been down under 20, and last year it was at 38,000. So it goes up and down based on
Because
the
of
work.
every other year they have to do different things or something?
Yeah, there's certain things we have to do every year, and then every 5 years or every 3 years. Or
I
there's
know
different
the
cycles.
Eagle survey's in there for $5,000 when that shows up, but that's not every year.
Yeah, that's not every year. There's lots of different studies that we have to end up doing for this compliance. So,
And Mead and Hunt has been doing this with us for years now?
yes, they've worked with us from day one on the license, and they have a good reputation with FERC, which I think is very important. Help us out quite a bit. They help me out quite a bit or Tim, when we call. They're always available, and those aren't charges you see, so.
Is that been pretty consistent over the years, or has it been climbing?
No, it's up and down based on what we have.
But I mean, the last time we had this amount of paperwork, is it about the same?
Yeah, it's about the same. It's in the mid-20s, you know.
Okay.
And it's something we have to do.
Yep. Bruce gotta eat, hey Bruce?
Nothing stays the same forever. All costs go up.
Well, and I'm sure I see the rate scale in here, I'm sure from engineering firm to engineering firm, it doesn't vary much more than a couple dollars.
I know they were doing the work for you when I moved here in 1976, 77.
Looks like 2025 is going to be a more expensive year.
I make a motion, we approve the meet and hunt project for technical assistance to submit the license compliance documents to FERC for a price not to exceed $29,000.
Support.
Mr. Minigini,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes. Next on the agenda is approval of the MEDQ request to use a gas-powered boat on Hanbury Lake. And then they said there would be no wake. I'm not sure whether they need a 60 horsepower engine to,
I think that's the boat they have. Because I asked them if they could use their electric trolley and avoid this. So they didn't have an electric trolley apparently on the boat, so I don't know. This said I'd bring the request forward. Did talk to the Conservation District, and they were pretty excited that they were actually taking these tests. So from a testing standpoint, I think it was kind of important for.
they're going to test the fish for mercury and other toxins, I believe, and test
Yeah.
the waters as well.
And now what's gonna happen if they go there and they discover mercury? Who's gonna be liable for that?
Well, we're not.
Okay, I just wanna make sure on that, but it seems strange that the DEQ was coming to us, asking us to be nice guys.
Well, the DEQ's coming to us for this because we have the.
I'm not a DEQ fan, you know that.
Because we have the ordinance, and so they're respecting our ordinance, and they're gonna have to launch off of our property. So they're just asking for that consideration for the 1 or 2 days that they're gonna need to be out there.
I still really feel that this should be a motorized lake with a 40 horsepower maximum. I really wish we would revisited that. I think that the park would get used a lot more by pontoon boats, people putting. We have a beautiful facility down there, and I go down there a lot just to see if there's anybody there, and there's people there in the winter ice fishing, but through the summer, very little use,
I
very
agree.
little.
I supported that last year when we talked about it.
I just think we got a nice facility and we're maintaining it. We want to do a little beach down there, supposedly this year, right, Ray? This summer?
It won't be this summer, maybe fall, but for,
fall?
yeah, fall or.
This year.
This year, the latest would be late winter next year, you know, depending on when best to get in there to do that work.
I guess I'd like to see if anybody else thinks Scott voiced his opinion. I'd like to see if anybody else is interested in revisiting this for the next meeting.
Well, I think you're, say we bring it up the next meeting. I think.
Or the next month.
Yeah, I think what
A
we
month?
should do is you should put that out there, we should put that out there to solicit comments, because I know that there's gonna be a few that would come and have the reverse comments, I'm sure.
Okay.
Because that's what happened last time, and it's
Yeah,
more.
we had it out there last time.
Yeah, and I think that would be, you know, that would probably be the best way, just hold a hearing on it and.
I would
Yeah.
like to see it revisited.
Because if I advertise it, there's a group that would have comments as to
Sure.
why.
So
at
if we,
least.
if we find out that there is mercury in there, then
Well, you gotta remember that there's a lot of,
jet
there's,
skis, everything.
there's old mine water.
Yeah,
that-
I know.
That's over there, so
That's
it's
coming higher.
really not anything that we
Yeah.
can control.
Well, it sounds like to me that we're in general consensus that we're gonna give this request. I would just like to have it changed to without setting precedent. Because somebody else can come along a month from now, well, you let them, why don't you let us? Because you did, just no precedent set on that.
Make that motion. then.
Okay, I'll make the motion. MDEQ request to use gas-powered boats on Hanbury Lake for this study not to set precedent.
Support.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes,
Mr. Minigini?
Yes.
and they did indicate again that there'd be no wake from their boat. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Number 13, approval of the Oak Crest Golf Club bylaws.
Yeah, as part of your lease agreement with the golf club, any changes to the bylaws require council approval. They went through and did some housekeeping on their bylaws. changing commission to club, and there's nothing really, there's no changes other than I think the housekeeping. We did have some comments, and Grant and I kind of went through it, of making some further comments about adding page numbers and revision dates and whatnot, so I don't know if you had anything else.
Just briefly, Ray and I did go through, and there was just a few small typos that we identified that we'll address with the board, nothing of substance. The only one that jumped out at me that I just want to make sure we're clear on with Article 5, where it does represent legal representation in the past, the board or the commission out there used the Norway City Attorney. Obviously, they're an autonomous entity. So as much as I am thankful for their reference to use the city attorney as their attorney, I think it should read, and I talked to Ray about this, they should hire who they would wish to hire. If they want to hire myself or my firm, that's fine, as long as we don't have there's any lease negotiations or conflicts that would cause a problem. But I think that it shouldn't indicate or require them to use the Norway City Attorney. I don't think it's appropriate to have that in their bylaws. I think it should just indicate they can hire an attorney of their choosing.
Yep.
Or something along those lines.
That has to be striked out of there? Or it's already striked out of there? It's still in there, right?
As it's presented to you, correct. I think for the approval, like I said, there's some nominal, just some typos here and there, but the only thing of substance that I identified reading through was that, and that's, like I said, that's always been the past practice of the board out there, is to use the Norway City Attorney, but because of the autonomy, I think it's appropriate to keep that separation up and, let them decide who they want to hire. So I would say approve it with that amendment to Article 5, which basically just removes the requirement or the designation of the Norway City Attorney as their counsel as well. I think that clears it up. Then you don't have to come back again, and once they do change it, come back for approval again.
We were given a copy again tonight. Was there any changes in there compared to our packet? Or were we
No,
given
that's a
copy?
different copy.
Okay.
That one was in your packet.
I'll make the motion that we approve the Oakcrest Golf Club bylaws revision with the stipulation to Grant's referral of Article 5 be changed.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Sturgeon Falls Hydroelectric Roof Replacement. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On this particular issue, we recognize that there was some issues with the roof through our budget hearing. It was brought up about the length of warranty or possible warranty on the roof. That roof was installed in 2001. We did find out the manufacturer and where the shingles were purchased, and we are in the process with the paperwork of submitting that to the company. I think that's going to move along, so we'll have some level of warranty on the shingles, because then, it's a 30-year shingle, and we're getting, 17 years, 16 years, something on that order. So that is coming. We did have two respective bidders for a new roof, and we do have two options. One is the regular asphalt shingle, that's option one, and option two is for metal roof. As you can see, the metal roof is quite a bit more, and that's based on the curvature of the roof, the complexity to put the steel on that roof. So we're recommending Lake State Roofing out of Iron Mountain be awarded the project for $18,200, and then I'm quite confident that we'll be able to offset whatever and work with Lake State to offset that warranty cost. So I'm asking if you'd approve that. We won't move forward until we get that straightened out and have that.
Did you talk to Lake State about that?
Yes, and we have a good working relationship with them too, so I'm pretty confident that that's gonna be seamless.
I see it's $1,500 difference than the other one, but On Markel's, they mentioned install new roof venting as required. I didn't see anything about the roof venting under the bid by Lake State.
That's pretty
I mean,
standard
I'm not a
course. but-
professional roofer,
yeah.
but I know in the past, a lot of times when your shingles bubble up like that, it's because you don't have the proper ventilation.
Yeah.
And that's, can be a big issue. I mean, you put a new roof on and you don't have the proper ventilation, 10, 15 years down the road, or in this case, 16, 17, you're gonna have the same problem. And I did not see that in Lake State where they were gonna, maybe we don't have the proper venting on, I don't know. I'm not like I said, I'm not a roofer.
The one side of the roof looks like it's to be,
That'd be the south side, right?
yeah, okay,
Because
but the other side, so I don't know, I know what you mean about the venting, but I would think that if it was venting, that we'd have trouble on both sides of the roof. So I'm a pretty firm believer that
Lee,
there's
you said
something
that
wrong
was-
with the
that was Lake
shingles.
State that didn't have it?
Right,
So I'm
yeah.
looking at Lake State and it says Bent Ridge for complete roofing.
Yeah, but under Markel, it said install new roof venting as
Oh.
required. Maybe it'll need more. I don't know. Just want to make sure it's done right.
Yeah.
Well, if the north side isn't causing problems, it's probably the sun that's hitting the roof on the south side. That's the big difference. I know in my house, the shingles on the south side were much worse than the ones on the north side.
Maybe you didn't have proper venting.
Well, I can, pretty sure that there was, but, so the sun has a lot to do with it, but, I would, gonna ask, is this the best shingle, 30-year shingle? I thought they came up with a 40-year shingle, a better quality shingle that might last longer.
This is pretty standard.
But they do have
30,
40-year shingles.
30, 35 is
Pretty
usually
standard.
what they are, standard side.
I'm not sure with the 40 if you're getting too much.
Yeah,
You're
they're
paying-
thicker,
paying quite a
they're
bit.
thicker, but you're gonna pay
Yeah.
quite a bit more. And I don't know if they really last any longer, Doc, to be honest with you.
I'm just asking the question because that's my understanding that,
I know the 40-year shingles are 5 bundles to a square because they're so thick, I know that. But we can stick with the 30, 35.
do we need to settle this venting issue, or do you think we should move ahead, Mr. Anderson?
I think we can move ahead. I think we can, I can settle that with Lake State outside of here. I think the venting I think that's gonna be standard, you know, that we'd have proper venting and that they would do that.
The building's
And the
vented.
roofing company might come back and say, hey, it's not vented properly until we get through the procedure of the warranty.
Maybe. Yeah, I won't do anything until we get through that.
I make a motion, we approve Lake State Roofing to do the hydro project not to exceed $18,200, and it must be done after we settle up with the warranty claims.
Support.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes,
Mr. Minigini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Resolution 2017-3, the City of Norway DDA Plan Amendment Public Hearing. Do we need to go into open session, or?
No, this is just a resolution to call for a public hearing. That's part of the statute. The DDA has concluded its review, along with the Dickinson, or the Downtown Area Citizen Advisory Committee. And so the next step is for the council pass a resolution, which is basically calling for public hearing. Public hearing would be on June 5th to review the proposed plan. Changes can be made to the plan all the way up to the point of where council approves the ordinance, which probably would be July 3rd or July 5th, first meeting in July.
Any questions from the audience, or from the council?
I make a motion, we approve Resolution 2017-03.
Support.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes?
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Anybody in the audience like to address the council on any topic?
Need a lift chair?
Okay, I got a couple things. Well, first one, well, you see we're tearing up things up. I'm not gonna give you a long report about that, but, over on Second Street, there, we got rocks, so it's kind of slow. A few minor problems like you're always gonna have, but nothing major. Things are going along fairly well. The plant, looks like they're gonna do some blasting that this week, probably next week, and then the week after they're starting, so the next couple weeks, things are gonna be fired up on that. Any question on the handouts that I gave you folks a number of meetings ago? Gave you some stuff that, spelled out responsibilities of owners, engineers, and contractors. Remember that? Anybody have any questions relative to any of that?
No questions, but there are lots of it I didn't like.
I'm with Lee.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If anybody wants to talk about stuff other than here, you can get all of me and we'll do that. Progress meeting, first one tomorrow with Blackwell at 9 o'clock downstairs. Those are gonna be held weekly on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock. Progress meeting with Gunlock, the first one is May 25th on a Thursday. We had originally talked about having those the fourth Thursday of every month, but we had a little kickoff meeting today, and we're now thinking we probably want to do those twice a month. And we're gonna look at that schedule on the 25th, so whether it be the second and fourth Thursdays or whatever, we didn't lock in. But those are gonna be coming. They're all welcome to attend if you like. I'll be doing minutes of those meetings, and everybody attends to get a copy of it.
You have a time on that, did you say?
That's at 9 o'clock also. May 25th, Thursday at 9, here. The only other thing that I guess I'd like to know, I'll be coming to all your meetings, unless I'm out of town for a reason. And I guess I'd like to know whether you want me to give you a little updated report, or whether you just want me to be available if you have questions. Ray is planning to put information in your packets regularly about things, maybe summaries of the progress meetings or his own words stuff, so I don't have to get up here if you don't want me to, but I would like to do whatever you'd like.
Well, at the rate of construction, to me, 2 weeks is a long time to be getting the information.
Pardon? What was that?
2 weeks is a long time for me to be getting the information. Because at a council meeting,
Yeah,
it's every 2 weeks.
yeah. So what?
And if there's any issues or anything you should know about, and Ray writes it up, it's,
Well, this is more just to give you kind of an update. It's not to, if there's issues, we're gonna be addressing those. And I'm suspecting, unless they're serious, we won't be doing every little thing here. Things are getting done day by day. My question is, I could give you a little update about what's happening, where we're gonna be in the next 2 weeks and yada yada. Or I don't have to do anything. I can just be here in case you have a question. But just so I'm prepared to know what you folks would like to see at your meetings. Doesn't matter to me.
I think if we have any questions.
Okay, so I'll be here.
Yeah.
I won't be on the agenda or won't give you any type of report. You're gonna see these, these summary of payment forms that you saw tonight, once we get rolling. As a matter of fact, I think Bach was gonna put one together for your next meeting. They are typically gonna be on your second meeting of the month. Tonight, we're just getting caught up on some stuff that went back a ways. But on the third Monday, you will see these, and there will be typically 2 pay requests from Baca, because they have to do a separate one for the water, separate one for the sewer, for the different pots. Probably one from Gunlock, and invoices from us. And, there's likely not to be any, we're kind of caught up with all miscellaneous stuff, TPs and whatnot. So those will be, those packets will be here, 3 of them. Typically, the second meeting, your second meeting. And if there's questions with those, we should be here, so.
You said,
Any questions?
you said you'd be doing some blasting. I'm sure you knew about this ahead of time, you know, the scope of the project?
Yeah,
That there would be.
well, and the blaster was here, just some checking. They've been taking the rock out with a tooth. They have a interchangeable big tooth that goes on their machine. They take the bucket off. And if the bucket can't scratch the rock, they take this tooth and when we get into that stuff, we have a quantity for rock. You know, we did a lot of snowboardings up there. And, you know, as many as was reasonable. And rock is a weird thing. We were talking about it before the meeting, but we took a snowboarding over there, and it was 11 feet deep, and right here it's 8 feet deep. You know, you run into that. So we have a quantity for rock, and if it gets to the point where it's slowing down so much using this tooth thing, then we would blast, and they're kind of putting that off as they go. But they may have to do some blasting up there. We figured they might. They're going to be blasting out the treatment plant, for sure. So we'll see how it goes.
What happens if they crack somebody's basement when they blast, if they wind up where there's a problem? That's a liability to the city, or that's a liability to the contractor?
It can be shown, you know, we videotaped everything. The contractor is required to videotape everything outside, because people always say, you cracked my driveway, you know. So we've got pretty good tapes up and down the streets, but not inside. So if a homeowner could show reasonably that, you know, there was something new that happened from a contractor, well, probably it was blasters, they have liability insurance for this stuff.
And then do you give them warning that you're gonna be blasting too?
I don't, I mean, the contractor does.
Right, right.
Yeah, they're putting flyers on houses a lot. I mean, they're up and down the streets daily almost, you know, letting people know their driveways might be closed off, or it's gonna be tough.
Is there a reason why they waited so long? I believe the holes up by Mr. Aslan, that's to check for rock formation? Is that, they drilled
Well, the
small
blaster-
holes, like 2-inch
Yeah,
holes?
the blaster did that. The blaster came in and did some coring or drilling to determine exactly what he might have to do if he was called in. I think at the time they thought they really were gonna do some blasting, and then they're kind of gonna get, you know, out of the rock a little more or in a little more, so I don't, as of today, I really don't know. I talked to Terry later today, I don't know what the schedule might be, but that was the driller who did that, I mean, the blaster did. Yep.
I know the weather hasn't been the greatest, but did you say they're a couple days behind their projected schedule, or
It's a little early.
a little bit doesn't make that much difference?
No, it's a little early. We're gonna be reviewing that schedule every week, and going over it at the progress meetings, and it's a little early to throw a dart, you know, 2 days behind. I mean, it's so variable. They work a lot in the rain. I mean, we know.
Oh, yeah.
But took a couple days off. Matt Carpenter, and this probably is not the whole reason why it didn't work, but Matt had to take his son down to Ann Arbor for a pacemaker or defibrillator installation, 15-year-old son. It's for the defibrillator part, not the pacemaker, but everything went well. But he was gone in the last week. It was raining, and it's kind of yucky to work, you know. So hopefully we don't get lots and lots and lots of rain. You don't know.
Well, if you want to believe the weather, man, it looks like it's going to be good for the next 6 days. If you want to believe it.
Thursday. But, you know,
The right one.
downpour stuff, last Tuesday. Well, if you have any questions in between meetings, everybody's got my number. You can call me anytime. Go out. If you want to go on the job, find Terry. Terry's the guy you want to talk to. Don't bother Matt or his people with stuff they got like going on. But find Terry and be bouncing right now. Now, probably starting either next week or shortly thereafter, we're gonna have a second guy here. If Blackwell brings in their other crews that they're talking about. Terry, they brought a service crew in, can't cover everything with all the stuff that's going on. There's stuff every minute to look at and evaluate and check, and there's quantities to keep track of. It's a big job when there's lots going on, so we're gonna have a second guy.
Out of curiosity, what type of rock are they hitting? You know? Hard rock.
It's kind of like a shale on the top part. I don't know down further if it's pour into the rock, we did soil borings, we were just looking for refusal, so if we could calculate a decent quantity to put in the project. Because it's a pay item, so we want to be close on it, as close as we can. But there's a limit how many borings you have. On the south end of mine, like from Second up to the dead end, because we were hitting rock, we wanted to know if it was doing any of this, I think in that's about, I don't know, full block, I think we put 4 or 5 worms in one section, just so we could get a decent quantity on what it was doing. I remember way back in the late 70s in Forest Park, they put sewers in Forest Park, and not long after I came here, and right between 2 borings that weren't, well, they might have been 100, 120 feet apart, they had one of these. Rock came right up and then right back down, it all kind of mucks up the quantities they put in there, but some things you gotta deal with. So, anyway, once they get through that, if we get down low on the streets, there's not gonna be rock. But we knew we were gonna have it. So. Anything else? Okay.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience like to make a comment on any topic? Mr. Menegini?
Yeah, I see our summer help is all lined up. Is that a normal crew, 10, Ray? Is
Yeah.
that up a little bit?
No,
Okay.
that's pretty close.
How many applied for these positions?
We had about 5 or 6 extra
Oh,
applications.
okay. Just curious. Excuse me. I'd like to congratulate the Norway ski team. It's the only team in the UP named to the All-State Academic. So that's a feather in our cap for our school system. And also, I'd like to mention the 5 students from Norway who will be in the Dickinson County Community Theater in the production of Annie. So that's good that they get into some of these arts and not only sports. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Babalani?
Ray, Mr. Jedvick got a hold of me today. He wants to know what's going on with Channel 99. I don't, he said it's off, it's on, it's off.
I'll have to check, I don't know.
Okay,
I haven't heard personally. so.
okay.
I have seen channels come and go. You look at it, and 5 minutes later it's gone, and 10 minutes later it's back on. So
He said this one's gone more than it's here, so.
hopefully we're not paying for it then.
I think that is a free channel, actually, and I think, isn't that MeTV? That one, I think we get over the digital over there, so it has some sketchy
Okay.
at the station's side.
Where are we at with the stump grinder, Ray? I know we were having trouble. It was getting some work done to it.
I don't know where we're at with it, whether it's
Okay.
fixed or not. I'll double check on it for them.
Okay. Hopefully, the summer students get a little bit more guidance this year than they've had in the past, so we can get some of our summer activities, work projects done. I was hoping to see some picnic tables like we talked about at the last meeting over by the park.
Didn't move over yet?
There's
We
nothing
talked
there.
about that over the week, okay.
There's like 2 over behind the ice shack. Did we get any kind of an estimate or somebody to go over and look at the eaves on the log cabin over
Yeah,
there?
they've gone over and looked at them, so
Okay.
we're working on it.
How about Vulcan? We talked about getting with Norway Township on the end of 7th Avenue. I know the tarring is a ways out yet.
They haven't decided exactly what they want to do there, but I have talked with the road commission, because they're working through the road commission on it.
Okay,
So they have that one, and then they want us to also look at Pine Drive, because they're doing work, and they're kind of the reverse thing, having us look at Pine Drive. We did a super patch on that a few years ago, and so it's a question
Okay.
about whether or not we want to pull that up.
do something.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with Jim earlier. I don't think we're getting what we need to get out of our code violation, man. There is a lot out there that needs to be tidied up, and I was hoping that that would be stepped up quite a ways. That's all I have.
Ms. Brew?
I have nothing.
Mr. Pop?
I'd just like to ask our citizens to please be patient with the construction that is going on in town. You know, it is gonna be a harassment on you, and if there's any issues, please contact us, and we can work through them. That's all.
I noticed up on Summit that there was some road work done. Did that take up our whole border of our patchwork that we had? There was quite a bit up there, it looked like.
No, that wasn't the same, we didn't use the CP7 on that.
Okay.
That was a different mix.
And I'd also like to comment that there's a big solar energy project being done in the UP. I'd like to see the city involved, at least encouraging citizens to have solar energy. I think that would help us with our peak demands in the summertime particularly. We do have one person in town who is successful with solar energy.
Is there a website that residents can go on for that, Ray, that you know about?
Well, they usually, I think they pick up a lot of that through Efficiency United and start working through them. WPPI has some information as well. They go through WPPI Energy. Outside of that, then you're just looking at industry web pages.
I would also like to say that Ray's been working with Kleiman on a possible project by the Norway Spring, and things are looking a little better. I appreciate that.
I have one more thing, Doc, I forgot. I've been hauling a lot of brush out to the compost site, and every time I go out there, I get a little surprise. Somebody cut down a big silver maple, and it's like this, and they got it in pieces so long. I mean, it just, every time I go out there, there's something new, whether it's a stump or big logs.
Speaking of the compost site, is there a way we can get a guardrail there at the end of that driveway there? 'Cause
I've been
that's a
talking to
pretty
them, but that's gotta get fixed.
Yeah,
steep,
we've
so
gotta
if somebody
fix
goes
that.
in there, they're in trouble.
Yeah, we gotta fix that, do something with that.
Okay.
So.
Mary or Trish, any comments? Mr. Carlson?
No, thank you, man.
Mr. Anderson, any comments?
I have nothing at this time.
Need a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.